Every time you flip a switch or charge your phone, you're plugging into this gigantic global energy system. But our world's constant hunger for power, well, it forces us into some incredibly tough choices. Today, we're going to look at one of those choices, one that's playing out deep in the Amazon rainforest. And that really gets us to the heart of what we're talking about today. What is the true cost of turning on the lights? It's easy to think about our monthly bill, right? But the real price? Well, that can be measured in a lot more than just dollars. To keep our modern world running and to meet this skyrocketing global demand for energy, nations really have two main roads they can go down. And each road comes with its own major set of pros and cons. Okay, so let's break this down. On one side, you've got your renewables, solar, wind, that kind of thing. They're amazing because they're clean and they don't run out. But, and this is a big but, they're not always on. The sun isn't always shining, right? Then on the other side, you've got non-renewables, like fossil fuels. They are super reliable, the whole system's already built for them, but they create emissions and, well, one day they're going to be gone for good. And this is exactly where our case study for today comes in. To really get our heads around this dilemma, we're going to zoom in on a massive real-world example of that non-renewable path, the Camisea gas project in Peru. So let's get our bearings. This whole project is located way out in the Peruvian Amazon. It kicked off back in 2004, and its whole purpose is to pull natural gas out of the ground. But the craziest part is the infrastructure. We're talking about a 700-kilometer pipeline that has to sneak its way all the way across the Andes Mountains. Just picture that for a second. So you gotta ask, right? Why would anyone build something that massive in such a remote and, frankly, fragile place? Well, the answer, as it so often is, comes down to money and the enormous economic payoff it promised for Peru. I mean, just look at this number, $1 to $2 billion. That's how much the project brings into Peru's economy every single year. For a developing nation, that kind of money is an absolute game changer. It funds everything from new roads to schools. And this is what's really wild. Camisea isn't just about the money, it's the very foundation of the country's power grid. A full half, 50%, of all electricity in Peru comes from the natural gas from this one project. It is, quite literally, keeping the lights on across the nation. And the benefits don't stop there. The project meant Peru didn't have to rely on buying expensive energy from other countries anymore. It created thousands of jobs for construction and maintenance. It really became the cornerstone of their whole national energy plan. The economic benefits are huge, you can't deny it. But this is only half the story. And this is where the dilemma really starts to hit home. Because that gas and the pipeline that carries it comes at a very, very different kind of cost. Now, before we get to the direct environmental damage, there's a really important detail here. Natural gas is often sold as a bridge fuel, and that's because when you burn it, it lets off about half the carbon dioxide that coal does. So yeah, it's cleaner than coal, but cleaner is not the same thing as clean. Not even close. And that whole cleaner label really starts to fall apart when you look beyond the smokestack. This project has taken a brutal toll, both on the incredibly delicate Amazon ecosystem and on the people who call that ecosystem home. The environmental damage has just been awful. First off, just clearing the land for that huge pipeline meant massive deforestation, cutting a scar through one of the most biodiverse places on the entire planet. And it's not like it's been a smooth ride since. The project has been hit with multiple pipeline ruptures and leaks, spilling contaminants into rivers and poisoning the land. And then you have the human cost. For the indigenous communities who've lived there for centuries, this project has been devastating. It's opened up their isolated lands, bringing in outside workers and new diseases. For so many, it's meant being forced off their ancestral lands and watching their entire way of life change forever. And this quote right here points to a danger that goes way beyond the project itself. It's like a chain reaction. The pipeline isn't just a pipeline, it's like a highway that opens up the heart of the rainforest to even more destruction from logging, mining, and farming. Okay, so let's pull the lens back for a minute. The story of Camisea, with all its stark pros and cons, it might feel like it's happening a world away, but really, it's a perfect snapshot of the tough energy balancing act that every single country on Earth is dealing with right now. So here it is, the whole dilemma in a nutshell. On one side, you have these undeniable benefits, massive economic growth, energy independence, and yeah, even lower emissions than if they'd used coal.
But on the other side, you have the devastating costs, environmental ruin, social upheaval for communities, and the permanent loss of biodiversity.
Which brings us right back to that huge, difficult question. Is this the choice we have to make? Progress for our modern societies or preservation for our planet? As we all keep searching for better ways to power our world, trying to find an answer to that question might be the single greatest challenge of our time.